Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
You can hear you.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Very, very warm welcome to the very first session of CIA Part 1 new course. I am Ayush Bajaj and I will be your facilitator throughout the program. I'll give you a very, very brief about myself. I happen to be an international corporate trainer with respect to these financial level certifications, be it CIA, be it CPA, be it investment banking. Uh, I also happen to be an investment banker myself and a startup consultant, wherein I'm assisting startups with their investor readiness, strategy optimizations, internal audit consulting, etc., etc. So, all in all, you're in absolutely safe hands when it comes to this certification program. Now, before we deep dive into what the curriculum is in the new course and how the things are structured, let me just have a very, very quick brief about yourself. I'll be calling out the names. That would help me to understand the audience in this cohort, and that would help me to understand where I need to stress more, or in case all of you are very well versed and experienced with internal audit. All right, so I'll just call out the names and let's just have a very, very brief interaction as to what is your background and what do you do, who you are. All right, we'll start with the first one, which is Altamas.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yes, sir. Recently I have completed my BCom and currently I'm working in a concurrent audit firm. So,
Hmm.
just to enhance my knowledge, I have decided to join the CIE.
All right, fresh out of college.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right.
Yes, I'm the
Wonderful.
part of the previous batch also.
You were a part of the previous batch also.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
But
Part one.
yes, sir, part one.
So why are you giving it again?
So,
You have to appear. You're planning to appear in June onwards.
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Welcome, Altamas. Uh, Amitabh. Amitabh, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us about yourself? No? All right. We'll move to Hemlata.
Hi, this is Hemlata. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah, uh, I'm from Chennai, and I have 19 years of finance experience. But for past 6 months, I'm into the business risk management profile. Yeah, so basically managing business risk portfolios. Yeah, so it is not more into the investment side or something, but it is more of advising the business in terms of the risk that they need to manage, assurance and governance areas, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Welcome, Hemlata. Yes, Achal.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Myself Achal Saxena and currently working in Satin Housing Finance as in an internal audit department from last
Hmm.
2 years. And total overall experience is more than 8 to 9 years in internal audit in housing finance and microfinance.
Okay. So more than 8 to 9 years in internal audit. Fair
Yes, sir.
enough. So we'll be taking this session together then. Right? Feel free to pitch in with the situations that you've handled or
Yes,
whatever we
yes.
are going to
Sure.
read and how, if you've handled any kind of situation there in the practical scenario, we would love for you to answer that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you.
Hi, Uday. You want to unmute yourself and tell us about yourself?
Good morning, Aayush.
Morning.
I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I have done my articleship in Baker Tilly, and currently
Mhm.
I'm working in Wells Fargo in the second line of defense.
Second line of defense.
Yeah,
All right. Good way to introduce yourself, huh?
thank you, Achal.
Fair enough. Welcome, Uday. Yes, Kavya. Kavya, you want to unmute yourself and tell us about yourself? No? Okay, we'll move to Maithi.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, Kavya. Hi, morning.
Hi, I'm Kavya. I'm from Chennai. Like, I have completed my CA intern uh, and did my articleship also in Chennai. And after that, I'm in a career gap. Like, I'm having a baby, so I'm having a 4-year career gap as of now. So to bounce back into my career, I'm just starting with this CA, and I have to continue my career. So that's why. I have-
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome, Kavya. Congratulations for the baby.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We will move to Maithi.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Myself, Maitri Tyagarajan,
Maithi, we
and
cannot hear
I'm
you.
pursuing CA Inter.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Myself,
now we
Maitri
can.
Tyagarajan, and I'm pursuing CA Inter, and I completed my optical in one of my auditing firm
Okay.
in my town, and I am very much interested in the auditing line, so I'm choose the CIA course.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Welcome, Maithi. We'll move to Ramkumar.
Hi, Aayush. Morning.
Hi.
Ram Kumar, basically from Chennai. So currently being into banking industry, doing risk management.
Ramkumar, I'm not able to hear you. Can you be a bit louder?
Now, yes, yeah.
It's better.
So myself, Ram Kumar, from Chennai. So currently being into banking industry, handling ops risk management, and also I have internal audit experience as well. 4 to 5 years doing internal audit as well.
Okay.
Now
Wonderful.
ops risk management.
Wonderful. Welcome, Ramkumar. Moving on to Sakshi.
Hello, everyone. So I
Hi,
was a
Sakshi.
part of assurance team in Big Four for the past 7 years, and then I moved to Poland and recently joined as senior internal auditor. And I've enrolled myself in CIA to learn more about internal audit duties in order to professionally develop.
So you're joining us from Poland.
Yeah,
What's the time there?
3:30 a.m.
Oh, gosh. Okay. That's the level of dedication needed, huh?
Yeah,
Welcome, Sakshi. Oh, just imagine 3:30 a.m. and you're hearing my voice. My God.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right. Yes. Hi, Sarang.
Hello everyone, good morning, sir. So
Hmm.
I've been working with EY since the last 3.5 years, and in between, I had a chance to go to Saudi and work with Protivity as well, and then again I came back to EY as a boomerang. So been into the business risk consulting department since the last 3.5 years, into internal audit and management consulting.
Okay. Fair enough. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Satya. Satya, you wanna unmute yourself and tell us about yourself? No? Okay. We'll move to Shivangi. Shivangi, you wanna unmute yourself and tell us about yourself? No? Moving on to Shraddha.
We have two Shraddha here, Shraddha Sharaf and Shraddha Patel.
Now that you're unmuted, you go first.
So my name is Shraddha. I have approximately 2 years of work experience in internal audit. Currently, I'm working in KPMG, where I'm doing SOQM controls, which is related to quality management. Before that, I was in Protivity, where I was doing SOX audit for 1.5 years approximately. And I've
Okay.
also done my internal audit, CA intern, where I have 3 years of work experience in internal audit department. That's all about
Fair
me.
enough.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Shraddha. Moving on to Shraddha Patil, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Patel.
Shraddha Patel. Patel, yeah.
Good morning. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I have almost 4 years of post-qualification experience. I have moved across functions. So I did my articleship in stat audit, then post-qualification, I was in forensic audit. And for the last 1.5 years, I have been in internal audit. Throughout, at least in the internal audit career, I have done BCM engagements, I have done internal audits, I've done SOX, ICOFIR, I'm doing. So, but my experience has primarily been focused on BFSI sector. So what I am trying or what I will attempt to learn from the class, the wider audience would be the other non-FS side of engagements, where you learn about the other processes which are not very predominant in BFSI. Like if I was to say procure to pay, it may sound really simple to the other people or the other audience, but because I have not touched those in my experience, I would like to have more emphasis on that from my end.
Wonderful. So in case we're discussing on the concepts and you feel that you've handled such kind of a situation in one of your BFSI companies, feel free to pitch in.
Sure.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Very quickly moving on to who's left. Shruti. Shruti, you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, I'm Shruti. I'm working as ITGC consultant at Genpact from past 2 years.
Okay. That's it? Okay. Welcome, Shruti. Yes, Suhas.
Hi, sir. My name is Suhas. I'm from Hyderabad. So I'm working under a chartered accountant and simultaneously I'm pursuing my master's in finance. Yeah.
Masters in Finance.
Yeah.
Are you pursuing your CA or you've completed your CA?
No, sir. No, sir. Just I'm
Oh,
working
no,
as
CA.
a chartered accountant. Yeah, like an
Oh, you're working at a chartered accountancy firm and you're pursuing
under
masters in.
chartered accountant. Working
No,
under.
fair. Welcome. Yes, Suresh.
Hello, sir. Good
Hey.
morning, all. I'm Suresh. I'm from Hyderabad. I have 10 years of experience in banking sector. My experience includes internal audit, compliance monitoring, and control management. Right now, I am working in Wells Fargo, Hyderabad, as a control manager.
Okay. All right. Welcome. Okay, guys. I think are we left with anyone? So so broadly, what I understand is that the audience level is at an experienced level, right? We are not having someone who is an absolute fresher in internal audit. Of course, we had one, but still, you have 6 months of experience, so you are broadly well versed with the conceptualities, broadly well versed with the common parlance that we use in internal audit. All right. So fair enough. Have you all received your textbooks or digital ones? How is it?
No.
No, sir.
I have received it.
You've received.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Can you, with the show of hands, tell me how many of you have not yet received it? I mean, okay. Okay. Fine. Okay, fair enough. So, okay. So what we will be doing, all right, guys, thank you so much. You've requested for ebooks, so all right, fine. find. Not even the digital ones?
I received the digital book actually.
Oh, you received the digital book.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fine. Okay. All right, guys. It's okay. All right. Thank you. Not even digital. It's absolutely fine. So, what we'll be doing is we will be since it's the first batch of the new curriculum that we have. What we will be doing is we will be going through the textbook, right? So I don't want to be in that situation or make you in that situation wherein in the session we are just very quickly moving through the sliders and I leave the textbook, to be read by you. But instead, what approach that we will be following since the very first batch of the new edition, we will together be moving through the textbook. Of course, I will not be reading word by word everything, but yes, we will be moving along the textbook so that you also feel that you have read the textbook with me in the class once. So we will be finishing off with the module and then we'll be taking up the questions from that module. All right. Fair enough. Those who have not received the textbook, I would request you to please request the team, the VGLD team, to send you the textbooks as soon as possible. Right? Fair enough. All right. Okay. Let us begin, guys, with a video. And let me know if it is visible to you. All right, we will be starting with a video and we will be just have a look at this video once and let me know what your thoughts are and what went wrong.
Regulators have found that employees at Wells Fargo.
Can you hear it?
Regulators.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, so let me see if we have a good one. Okay.
It has been almost a year since we first learned that thousands of Wells Fargo employees created fake accounts in customers' names without their permission, a scandal that is now growing in both scope and size. Another banking bombshell in the Wells Fargo fake account scandal. The bank's own internal review revealing a total of 3.5 million unauthorized bank accounts were opened during an 8-year period leading up to September of last year. That's nearly 70% more fake accounts than originally reported. Senator Elizabeth Warren tweeting, "Unbelievable. Wells Fargo's massive fraud is even worse than we thought."
This is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that not everything changes in just a day or even a few years.
And piling on to the bank's problems, new revelations that more than 500,000 customers were enrolled in Wells Fargo's online bill payment service without their knowledge. Last year, the bank agreed to pay $185 million in refunds and lawsuits. The scandal costing former CEO John Stumpf his job and $41 million in company stock. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett, Wells Fargo's largest shareholder, is standing by the bank, but admits there are problems that are still being addressed.
There's never just one cockroach in the kitchen. There were some things that were very wrong done there, but they are being corrected.
In a statement to NBC News, Wells Fargo's CEO Tim Sloan apologized to customers who were defrauded and promised to rebuild trust and make things right for our customers. Small comfort to customers like Frank Ahn, a business owner who still has not received refunds for more than $10,000 in charges he says he unknowingly paid to unauthorized accounts that were opened in his name.
I hope they really do what they say they will do this time, because they've said this 3 or 4 times before.
The latest admission from Wells Fargo, a validation not only for customers, but the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, whose budget is on the chopping block under President Trump.
People can argue over how much regulation there should be, whether more or less. No one should argue over the existing regulations being enforced.
And that's why we need regulation on these banks. This is a big deal. Your money, your bank.
Well, it's just incredible. I mean, there could be people watching right now who don't even know there was a Wells Fargo account opened in their name. What do you do if you're worried about that? How could you figure it out?
Well, at this point, if you listen to the CEO, Tim Sloan, they will notify you. You will be refunded. But the issue is trust. And whether or not $185 million is a lot of money to the bank or not, losing the trust of the American people, you need to trust your bank. It's where your money is.
Yeah, it's a
big
bad,
issue.
bad headline.
All right, guys. So you saw the video. Can you tell me what was the problem? What went wrong?
It's a KYC theft and fake accounts got opened.
Okay, fair enough. The fake accounts were opened. The customers were paying charges without knowing that they have an account with them. And why do you think it happened?
There were no proper internal control to, mitigate those risks.
Okay, so what were the risks?
No proper KYC was done.
It might happen that the KYC was done when you first opened it, but then a lot of fake accounts were opened in your name, right? Fair enough. So why do you think these kinds of fraud, and there are a number of examples out there, the Volkswagen fraud, where we all know about the engines and what they did with the falsification of the compliances, the Wells Fargo scandal, the of course you've read in your academics the end runs and all the big scandals of the world. Why do you think these scandals happen? Is my first question to you.
I think because there is no regulatory monitoring here.
Because you say there is no regulatory monitoring.
Yeah.
It might happen that there is regulatory monitoring. So what in Volkswagen standards, in Volkswagen scandal, the regulations were there, right? The regulations were stringent. The company falsified.
Corporate governance structure is weak.
No, I
Good.
meant regulatory did not monitor them.
Oh, you're saying, okay, fair enough. Okay, so corporate governance failures, good. Fair. What
Unrealistic
else?
sales target, like every employee will be given the sales target, like they have to open these many accounts. When they don't reach them, they'll be opening fake accounts.
Fair enough. Unreasonable targets leading to falsification. Very good. So what do you think? Which line of defense failed?
There might be not
Second
a
line of
proper
defense.
audit committee or auditing standard.
Sorry?
There might be not a proper audit committee or audit standard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The
Both
auditors were not
second
on
and
point.
third line of defense failed.
Very good. Both second and the third line of defense failed. Fair enough.
Actually, I
We'll be
think,
discussing about. Sorry?
yeah, actually, I think first line of defense failed in tracking the daily activities, how the accounts are being opened.
First line of. Okay.
And conducting the random checks.
Yes, Ayush, I agree with him.
Okay.
Because
So
how the KYCs are done, how the accounts are opened, like there should be a process to validate whether they are true or not as a part of their SOP.
fair, fair. So we understand that why do these scandals happen? These handles because there are corporate governance failures. First, on a very broad level, let's understand that there are some corporate governance failures that happen, right? These happens because we might be giving them an unrealistic targets, or there's an opportunity to commit a fraud, right? So something happens at the core front, then the compliance department failed, the third line of defense, you as auditors failed, right? So all these instances led the regulators to form some stringent um, provisions and stringent guidelines, and ultimately, being more stringent on the auditors front. So that was the basis of a lot of regulations coming into the picture. Like Enron, when Enron happened, SOX came into the picture. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act came into the picture, right, and added certain level of certifications and increased certain level of requirements from the management, right? So we all understand why do these frauds happen, and we also need to understand that your role as the internal auditors is of immense importance. Although it might not always feel like, sometimes we do have this debate going on in our mind, and we see people talking about stat auditors being much more in weight as compared to the internal auditors. Right, we've all had that debates. I personally had that debate when I was working in KPMG, during my chartered accountancy days. So it is not true, right? So yes, stat auditors are there. They have a very important. They are in a very important zone when it comes to financial statements. But you, as an internal auditors, are of immense importance in every company, in any company that you can think of. Even if you do not have an audit committee, but still, your role as an internal auditors is of immense importance, right? And all through this journey, we'll be talking about what is or what are the responsibilities of you when it comes to all of these processes. All right, now what has changed in this part one? Earlier, it was a very broad curriculum. We used to have the first module wherein we used to just touch on a lot of conceptualities and terminologies of internal audit. Then we would move to impairments, ethics. Then we would move to governance, risk management, and controls, the GRC structure. And finally, we would have the frauds. Right, earlier, this was a very simple structure. But now they've added on to this, they've made it more scenario based, they've made it more case study based. All right. So all this because there is a need for you not to just cram up everything, but to understand the conceptualities of it and then move along. You should be able to apply in the practical zone what you imbibe, what you learn from the modules. All right. So diving into the first module, guys. This is Foundations of Internal Auditing. Now, it says that the internal auditing, just help me with this definition, all right? Internal auditing is an independent, objective, assurance and advisory service designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. A lot of these technical terms being introduced, we say that internal auditing is an independent thing. What do you mean by independent? Sorry?
Not being influenced by the acts or wishes of any other people.
All right. So can I say that I should not be having any kind of interest or relationship with my client?
Yes.
Yeah, which would hinder my ability to work freely. That's independent, fair enough. What is objective?
Unbiased.
Unbiased. Fair enough. And why do you think unbiasedness is very important when it comes to internal auditing?
So you report the actual observations and you don't try to
Sorry?
find specific. So you can come back to the management with the actual observations and you don't try and justify or
We
try
have to
to
be
No,
impartial.
wait, Suhas, wait. Let Shraddha complete.
yeah, so
Yes,
you
Shraddha.
don't yeah, so it basically just helps you uh, have that unbiased view to the processes and in turn you don't try and justify from your end only okay that this is why they would have done that, this is why it would have gone wrong.
Fair enough. Yes, Suhas.
We have to be impartial. Yeah.
Yeah, my question was why.
Because internal audit itself is a third line. So if a third line itself is biased, then I think it will be in danger. Whereas while we see in some organizations that second line, sometimes it will be biased with the business users. So that is why internal audit should not be biased. It should be unbiased.
Fair.
Internal
Fair. So we all
also be objective because of to gain stakeholders confidence actually.
fair. Fair. Who was joining us from Poland?
Yeah, so I'm
So Sakshi,
Sakshi.
what's your 3 a.m. thought on this?
I think it should not be related to client.
Why?
There should not be any bias towards auditing
Why?
or any favors.
Why?
It would hinder the audit.
Okay, it's okay. I was just trying to play around, Sakshi. Sorry. Okay. So I was just trying to see
Because
सुबह के 3 बजे पढ़ते पढ़ते कैसा लगता है. Okay, fair.
Still processing information.
No problem. All right. Yes, guys,
No,
coming
it
back.
has to be,
Yeah.
it has to be objective because you are giving an assurance. It is because it is an assurance to everybody.
Yeah, you all are correct, guys. You absolutely, all of you are right. See, if you as internal auditors become biased towards a client, then the very purpose of internal auditing fails, right? You might not then consider spending time on internal audit in any case, right? So, you as internal auditors, that is why we stress upon it a lot. We stress upon independence a lot, stress upon objectivity a lot, because you as internal auditors, and let's understand this, we cannot be biased, no matter what the offering is on the table. But simply, we cannot be biased, right? Because if we are biased, the very purpose of having an internal audit department fails in the first place, right? Wonderful. So, independent, objective, assurance, and advisory service. These are two things. So when we talk about internal auditing, it might be an assurance service, it might be an advisory service also. Now, what is the difference between the two? What is the difference between assurance and advisory service? Are these two interchangeable? Are these two same?
So advisory deals with any particular aspect which we are seeking the opinion or the insight, where assurance as a whole, it would have the responsibility of the internal auditor, like he would be accountable for what he has done.
Okay, let me give you two scenarios. All right. So please pardon me for this. Suppose you are the internal auditor, and let's say Amazon comes to you and says that I need your opinion, or let's say Amazon comes to you and request your opinion on the internal controls over financial reporting. All right. Second scenario, let's say, or let's make it like this. Let's say Zomato comes to you and says, can you assist with reviewing the best practices for IT department, let's say. So, according to you, which one is an assurance engagement and which one is an advisory engagement?
Amazon is
Amazon.
assurance and Zomato is advisory.
Sorry,
Amazon
Amazon
one
you're
is
saying is assurance and Zomato is an advisory. Why? What led you to say that?
because in case of Amazon, we are expressing our opinion, and in case of Zomato, we are just reviewing and helping them to adopt the best practices.
Very good. So you're absolutely right. When it comes to Amazon, this is an assurance engagement. And when it comes to Zomato, this is a advisory engagement. Right? Now, while selecting or while uh, choosing the option wherein, is this situation related to assurance or is this situation related to advisory, you always have to consider one thing. Whenever you are providing your opinion on something, it is always the assurance. Because how will you provide the opinion on something? You will take evidences, you'll examine those evidences, you'll frame a conclusion, and then finally you arrive at an opinion. And that is exactly the process of assurance. Yeah, yes, Shraddha.
Okay, in this case, I just want to understand that even when you're doing ICFR, that
Sorry,
is
sorry. Can you be a bit louder?
so when doing ICFR, that is also a regulatory requirement, right? So at the end, I will also be liable to the management, not to the regulator directly, but it also I will be held responsible.
So I did not understand. Sorry, what you're saying? Which one is a regulatory? Sorry, can you come again?
Yeah, I'm saying that it is also because I will be held responsible for my opinion, is why I'm saying that it will be assurance.
Okay, fair
It
enough.
is,
So,
yeah,
so Amazon is assurance, right? You also say that. Okay. Yes, Sakshi.
I have a question here. In
Yeah.
assurance, we provide reasonable assurance over financial statements and internal controls. But here it's mentioned that it's objective assurance. What is the difference between objective assurance and reasonable assurance?
Objective assurance is an unbiased work that you're doing, right? When you talk objectivity, that's you being unbiased. Okay. And when you talk about a reasonable level of assurance, right, this is not an objective assurance that you're providing. It's an objective assurance engagement that you're conducting here in this line. While
Okay.
doing that assurance engagement, the conclusion is that you have to provide an opinion on something, right? And that's a reasonable level of assurance that you provide because there are various limitations to you doing the work, right?
And
And we'll
that I
come to that.
understand.
Yeah. And
Reasonable
that is,
assurance that
yeah,
I'm aware.
yeah. So objective assurance engagement is an unbiased assurance engagement that you're conducting here. Okay.
Oh, okay, got it.
So, fair enough, guys. Coming back, internal auditing is an independent, objective assurance and advisory service designed to add value and improve an organization's operation. So, all through, whenever there is something that requires you to choose in the exam, also that what do you do as an auditor? What is your roles and responsibilities as an internal auditor? So, please understand that you have to do just two things. Whatever you are doing, you either you have to evaluate something and you have to improve something, right? So you have to evaluate a process, whatever you're doing, whatever engagement that you're picking up, you are evaluating up the process of the company, and then you're providing your recommendations which will ultimately be improving that process, right? So you are responsible just to do two things: evaluate and improve something. All right, so add value and improve an organization's operations. It helps an organization accomplish its objective by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the GRC. All right. Internal auditing creates value by providing the board and the management with independent, risk-based, and objective assurance, advice, insight, and foresight. What is risk-based?
Considering what could go wrong scenarios or how
Con-
negatively it
con-
would impact.
Considering what could go wrong. Absolutely right. Right. So, see, earlier we used to have this traditional way of doing the audit, wherein we have a checklist, we just try ticking everything off. But now everything is it's RBA, it's risk-based assurance that you're doing. Everything we have to do considering the risks. Whatever we are doing, we always have to imagine what could go wrong, right? And you have to consider the risks involved everywhere in whatever you're doing. And that's how you will conduct the risk-based assurance or risk-based audit. Then it says it enhances the successful achievement of the organization's objectives, obviously. How do you think this ties up, and why is it saying that it assists in successful achievement of organization's objectives?
Because here the scope would be defined by the organization, so we would drive our audit in that way, mostly.
See, organizations exist for a purpose, right? If I have a company, I have an objective in mind that I have to reach at, right? And to reach to that objective, everything should be fine inside the company, right? And ultimately, if you're doing your work right, if internal auditing is effective, it would mean that everything within the company is fine, and that is helping the company achieve their objectives, right? It enhances the GRC, the governance, risk management, and control processes. We'll come to that. We have these separate modules on GRCs. Decision making and oversight, absolutely. Reputation and credibility with the stakeholders, absolutely. If you don't have these kind of scandals, the ability to serve the public interest, fair enough, because you are in that position of trust. Then it says internal auditing is most effective when it is done by skilled professionals. That means competency. You as auditors should be competent, independent, of course, and unbiased. Internal audit mandate. It says the board establishes, approves, and supports the mandate of internal audit function. Now, I wouldn't ask this question that what is a board? You know that board is the most high level authority, right? You also in your chartered accountancy days, you might have heard TCWGs, right? Those charged with governance. Now, what is a mandate? It says a mandate given by the board. A mandate specifies internal audit's authority, role, responsibilities. What is the authority of the internal audit function? What are the roles? What are the responsibilities? That is a mandate given to you, right? And this is documented in the charter. You know, we have this internal audit charter. What is the charter, guys? Those who are working in internal audit, you might have come across an internal audit charter.
It is an official document where the roles and responsibilities or what all access the internal auditors can have, what are the powers of it, or will be mentioned in that.
So everything that you can do as internal auditors, right? That has to be specified in the charter. So that is the most important document, and that forms the basis of of your working as an internal auditor. Yeah, what all documents can you see? Who are the people that you have access to? What are the scope of your activities? What can you do? Everything, be it assurance, be it advisory, it has to be specified in the charter, right? Thus, the internal audit has a dual reporting relationship with the board and the senior management. So when you say this, it will also come later, but since we have used this dual reporting relationship, right, you as the CAE are having two types of reporting structures. You report functionally to the board and you report administratively to the senior management. All right. Uh, Also, guys, one thing in internal audit and in the CIA exam that you have to keep in mind, when I say this senior management, right, this senior management is not the senior management designation in your company, right? In internal audit, we'll be talking about the management, the senior management, and the board, right? So this senior management is not the senior managers in your company. So every company, these designations can change. But when we're talking about the senior management, I am talking about the CEOs, right? I'm talking about the CEO level. I'm not talking about the senior management level in your company. All right. So we'll be taking the board. When you call the senior management, you are looking at the next layer, which is the CXO level. Then you'll have all these managers and below. All right. Internal audit mandate states that the CAE, the Chief Audit Executive, who is the CAE, guys?
The internal auditor himself.
The head of internal audit department, right? So CAE must give the board and the senior management the information to establish the mandate. The CAE, now who is a CAE? CAE is a person who is in a senior position responsible for effectively managing the internal audit function in accordance with the standards and ensuring the quality of internal audit services. The board and the senior management decide the extent and types of internal audit services to be offered. The CAE should work with both the internal and external assurance providers. This cooperation helps everyone involved to clarify his or her specific roles and responsibilities. The CAE must document or refer to the mandate in the board approved charter. The CAE should regularly assess whether any changes in the organization require a conversation with the board and the senior management regarding the audit mandate. Has anything changed which would require you to revise your audit mandate? If such changes are needed, the CAE must work with these groups to make sure that internal auditors' power, function, and duties continue to support the goals and strategies. Simply said, that has there been any change which would revise, which would require you to revise the mandate, revise the scope that you have. All right. Then the responsibilities of the board. The board must talk with the CAE and upper management about the proper authority, function, and duties of the internal audit team. The board is responsible to approve the internal audit charter, including the mandate, scope, and the types of services. Very important question, guys. The board has to approve the charter. The senior management encourage support for internal auditors' role across the organization and emphasizes the authority it has been given. Now, the implementation of this provision, how do you implement it? The CAE informs the board and the senior management about the characteristics of an effective internal audit function. The CAE shares the knowledge about the standards, the relevant laws, and the results of research into leading practices. The CAE should discuss with the board and the senior management the internal audit mandate and other key elements of the charter. Simply said, now the board will not be aware of it. So yes, the board has to approve something, but you have to provide them with the information, right? Authority is based on a direct reporting relationship with the board, allowing for unrestricted access to the board and all organizational activities. Now, my question to you is, why, as internal auditors, you should be having an unrestricted access to the board?
Because internal auditor might deal with certain sensitive things, so that he could have the access to the board, which in turn maintains the secrecy, or which could also avoid the possible whistleblowers also, or fake rumors. Uh, I would say fake rumors about something which is going wrong in the company.
If I want to add
Actually,
to Uday, I want to add Ayush that
Yeah.
resembles the independency.
Okay. How?
Because if there is any restriction, then again that obviously it will impact the internal audit team, their performance, and the basically independency. So as they are supposed to be independent, then there should be unrestricted access to the.
actually, in short, they are the CID of the company. So they should have the authority, all the authority.
Fair. So it's very, very important. See, understand, if you're working as internal auditors, you might come across something which is very, very significant, which demands the attention of the highest level of authority, right? So at all times, you have to have that unrestricted access to the top level, right? You have to meet with them, you have to talk to them, sometimes at least annually, even without the senior management being present, right? So that is the level of responsibilities and that is the level of power that you have, which is, of course, as you correctly said, is very, very important. The scope of services for internal auditing function covers all the organization activities. I don't need to tell you what scope means. Scope is basically whatever you can do. Internal auditing services may simply be assurance and advisory services, or maybe more specific, such as performance auditing, assurance regarding internal controls over financial reporting, or specific, types of engagements that you are taking on. Circumstances may justify a follow-up discussion with the board and the senior management on the internal audit mandate or other aspects of the internal audit charter. Now, what are these conditions that may lead you to a follow-up discussions around the mandate? If there is a notable change in the standards, any significant acquisition or reorganization that has happened in the company, a significant change in the board or the senior management, a significant change in the strategies, objectives, and risk profile, a new law that has come up, and CAE should formally consider any such changes at least annually. Also, that's not all. CAE coordinates with assurance providers and advises the board about how other functions may contribute to the internal audit mandate. By helping the board understand the roles and responsibilities of other assurance providers, the CAE may clarify an appropriate mandate. Okay, I have a question. When I was in KPMG in audit, as I was telling you, I used to have this debate every time that, it's always the external auditors versus the internal auditors, right? But now, or when we went into the details of internal auditing, we came to know that it is not a versus situation that we are in. It's our responsibilities to coordinate our activities with the external assurance providers as well. And why do you think, or how do you think, or in what cases, why are we saying that as internal auditors, we have to coordinate our activities with the assurance providers, external assurance providers? Yes. Why do you as internal auditors coordinate with assurance providers?
In order to bring the true and fair view about
True and
the
fair view of
company,
what?
the company, how it is performing. At the end of the day, we should the external auditor should also provide an opinion on the company.
Oh,
So
that's a separate mandate given to them. See, true and fair view and whether the financial statements are as per the applicable FRF, that's the view of that's the opinion that external auditors have to give. What are the areas where you think you can coordinate with the external assurance providers? Or why do you think this coordination is very important for you as internal auditors and also for the company as a whole? Anyone? Okay,
To improve the process. Sometimes
do you?
assurance team
Mhm.
also suggest improvements. They go through RCM and then talk about controls and how sometimes they can be improved or any deficiencies they have found.
Fair. Also, let's say you've come across a very significant aspect related to revenues. Do you think you should be communicating this to the external auditors as well? Can external auditors rely on your work? Are they allowed to rely on an expert like you?
I
in
think
some
there's approach we
cases,
follow, yes.
In some cases, right? If you've done chartered accountancy, you've read audit. You know that you are allowed, as per the auditing standards, you're allowed to rely on an expert, right? You're allowed to rely on internal auditors. Similarly, internal auditors also, you are allowed to rely on other experts. Fair. So moving on to internal audit charter, guys. The CAE must develop and maintain a charter that specifies at a minimum the following internal audit functions. What is the purpose of internal auditing? Its adherence to standards, the internal audit mandate, including the scope of services that you can provide, what's the board responsibilities, organizational position, and what are your reporting relationships. All these things are specified in the charter. Now, the board must talk with the CAE and the senior management about additional subjects that should be a part of internal audit charter to ensure the internal audit function operates effectively. What that means is sometimes you as internal audit or you as the CAE might feel that no, an XYZ process also needs to be covered under my scope of work. Then you can ask the board to include that as part of the charter. The board should endorse the internal audit charter. which outlines its purpose along with the range and kinds of services it will provide. The board needs to review the internal audit charter with the CAE to evaluate if any modifications are needed. Now, the senior management should communicate with the board and the CAE concerning the management's expectations that deserve evaluation for incorporation in the charter. Now, what does that mean is sometimes the managements also request that, okay, can this also be included in the internal in the purview of internal auditing? Right. So the so management would be communicating it to the senior management that they require some things to be included, and the senior management would then communicate this to the board and the CAE. Yeah. Now, how do you implement this? So everywhere you'll find a provision first, and then how do you implement it? Right. So the charter should, now we've seen that, right? So describe administrative reporting. Is somebody saying something?
Jay is unmute. Can he mute himself so that?
Okay. The charter should describe administrative reporting responsibilities, such as the process for approving the functions, human resource administration and budgets. How will they be approved? How will the expenses of the CAE will be approved? How will the performance of the CAE will be appraised? The CAE should tailor the charter to reflect specific characteristics of the organization. Nothing very technical here, guys. You all know about this. The CAE usually shares the final version of the internal audit charter at a board meeting for discussion and approval. The CAE and the board need to decide how often they will examine the charter to ensure it still supports the goals of internal auditing function. Why do you think this charter needs revision, guys? Why do you think this charter needs a constant revision?
Because a business might work in emerging or dynamic environment, which could also involve new changes or risks which could impact our scope.
New changes, new risks. We are living in an era where every month there is some change or the other happening. Now we are talking about Gen AI. We're using this everywhere. I don't know how much you are using these AI tools, but I use them a lot personally, and it's massive. Right, it's massive how you can get these. So if you're using these, I'm sure you might be using ChatGPT, Gemini's Copilots, of course, but there are 100 other tools to use, and it's massive. You're using Gamma, we're using Perplexity, we're using Notebook, we're using Lovable. It's massive, and with all these advanced AI and technologies, it comes with a lot of risks. Right. So now if the organization has moved to crypto, if the organization has moved to blockchains, if the organization has integrated these GPTs and LLMs, it comes with a lot of risk. So of course, the internal auditing also needs to revise. Right. You are living, as correctly said by one of our friends, you are living in a very, very dynamic area. Right. All right, so following are the other topics relevant to inclusions in the charter, the safeguards. Very, very important for objectivity and independence. There might be the case where you are an internal auditor and you, or let's take a situation wherein I'm working, let's say in KPMG, and I hold the shares in Apple. Can I audit Apple?
No.
No? Why?
No.
Because you have
Ethical.
your financial interest in there, so you can't be objective.
Don't say I can't be objective. The better way of saying it, I might not be objective.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. So, what is the safeguard that you should take if you want to do this audit?
Annual declarations, independence declarations annually.
Declarations is fine, but you need to sell it off. You need to sell off the shares before you can
Yeah,
start the work on
yeah.
audit, right? Wonderful. Okay. So see, I remember. So I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but this is for all the Big Four guys out there. When I was in KPMG, I used to have this annual declaration, and I'm talking about this way back. We used to have this annual declaration that we need to sign. Is that still the process there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you're signing an annual declarations wherein it has that it has a lot of questions. That are you independent of your clients? Do you hold shares in your clients? Yes, no. And if you do, you have to specify. Is any one of your relatives working in the client side? So all these are possible threats to impairment that we'll talk about as we move along the course. And there are a lot of safeguards that you need to apply. Fair. Unrestricted access, including how data, records, information, personal and physical properties are accessed to fulfill the mandate. Communications, how will you communicate with the board and the senior management? The audit process, what will you do and how the disagreements with the management are resolved? Quality assurance and improvement. Uh, this is something that we'll talk about as we move along. There is something known as QAIP, right, which is Quality Assurance and Improvement Program that we have. We'll talk about that when the time comes. And approvals, how will you take the approvals? So all these are things written down in the charter. Okay. It says the purpose of internal auditing cannot be fulfilled unless the CAE reports directly to the board. This we have discussed, is qualified, of course, and is positioned in the organization so that the function can discharge its services and responsibilities without interference. Right? And what is independence? This we have already seen. Independence is freedom from conditions that impair the function's ability to perform responsibilities without any sort of bias. Then we have organizational independence, states that the CAE must confirm to the board the organizational independence of the internal audit function at least annually. That means you as a CAE must be confirming to the board that as your internal audit function as a whole also is organizationally independent, right? And you have to do this confirmation at least annually. The CAE also communicates the instances in which independence may have been impaired and what are the actions or safeguards to address those impairments. Must document in the charter the reporting relationships and organizational position, and should have many opportunities to communicate and interact directly with the board, right? So it says board meeting agendas and minutes often are evidence of internal audits organizational independence. Then the CAE must discuss with the board and the senior management any roles and responsibilities that may impair the function's independence and recommend safeguards. When the CAE takes on additional roles outside internal auditing, the responsibilities, the type of work, and anything that you can do must be clearly outlined within the charter. Okay, let me ask this question. Let's say outside your office hours, you are going and working for an NGO. Are you allowed to do that?
We can do it, but we need to prior disclose it to the company before we do that.
And if I ask you, are you in violation of or is it impairing your independence abilities? Not really, right? But
Yeah.
but let's take this situation that if you are working, let's say from January to October, you are working in a purchase department, and from October onwards, you've shifted to internal audit department. Can you audit purchasing?
No.
No to
No, why?
such
What's the problem?
Because the independent view can't be there because we are auditing our own work.
Absolutely right. Right. So we'll discuss these scenarios, but all in all, whatever text is written over there here in this slide, in this page, we've all discussed that. Fair. If the CAE takes on non-audit tasks temporarily, an independent third party must oversee those areas during this time and for the following 12 months. Can you give me an example of this?
Might be filing of some GST returns or income tax returns.
Fair.
Again, those areas should be reviewed by the taxation expert, someone like that.
Why?
Because we are not expertise in those areas, but we are doing it based on the request of the management.
Okay. Okay. So you say that it has to be uh, overseen by somebody who is having an uh, 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 expert level knowledge on that subject. Okay.
So
Anybody
can we
else?
do this? Like let's say we have a finance function in the company, and
Okay.
being a CAE, I'm handling that. So that is also a
Okay.
non-audit function.
But being a CAE, you cannot handle the finance department.
But sometimes it happens because it is happening with one of my client. They are part of internal audit department and still they are a finance director somehow.
Okay. You might
Yes.
want to highlight that stuff. Okay.
Okay.
But certainly, if you're still handling the finance department, you cannot audit finance department for sure. Right? And if you are the CAE and you're handling the finance department, that's a major problem that you have in the company then.
Got it.
Okay. Fair.
So what could be the areas exactly? So when we are saying non-audit functions, what is the exact
See,
example?
non-audit functions could be as somebody said, you're assisting in tax filings. I'm assisting in valuations of your assets. So all these non-audit areas.
Yes, got it.
Yes, Sakshi.
Here we are talking about the non-audit tasks that we are doing personally or for the company. For example, if I started my own business, like I work for EY, and recently here they have uh, they have agreed that people can also do their own business along with working for EY. So here I can start my own bakery. I can work in bakery and then I can also work for EY. So are we talking about
No,
that or
no, no, no,
anything?
we're not talking about that. We're talking about a situation where, as a part of internal audit team at EY, you're working at Amazon. I mean, you're auditing Amazon, and if you're auditing the revenue areas, can you still assist in valuation if you have the knowledge? That is the non-audit area that we're saying.
Okay, okay. While working on one task, work then in the other one.
Yeah.
So sorry, I have no internal audit experience, so I might have more questions.
Yeah, just keep asking, keep asking. Yeah, very good. All right. The board must, now, these are the responsibilities of the board coming together. The board must create a direct connection between the CAE and the internal audit team, approve the hiring and dismissal of the CAE. Be very careful. Board approves the hiring and dismissal of the CAE. Offer guidance to the senior management to us in assessing the performance and compensation of the CAE. Allow the CAE to have discussions with the board about important and sensitive issues, including the possibility of holding meetings where senior management is not present. Why do you think this should be the case? Why do you think you should be having, let's say, an annual meeting with the board without the senior management being present there?
So that we can communicate what challenges we are facing in internal audit, like what are the challenges we are facing in working with the C-suite people.
Let's say that we are sitting in a meeting and it's a board meeting happening, and next to me is the CFO of the company sitting, or next to me the CEO of the company sitting, and during this engagement I have a suspicion, or I have some evidence that the CEO is involved in a fraud. The CEO is doing a fraud. Now, in that board meeting, think and put yourselves in that board meeting, visualize, and do you think you will be able to speak up openly that this guy sitting next to me, he's involved in a fraud? Will you be able to do that? Certainly not.
No.
No.
Right? So that is the reason why you directly meeting with the board without any layer of senior management being present there is an absolute essential requirement to have. Right? Require that the CAE be in a position so that the services and responsibilities can be performed without interference, including the ability to bring matters directly to the senior management and escalate them to the board. Acknowledge impairments of independence when approving roles for CAE that are beyond the scope of internal auditing. So, is the board acknowledging that yes, there will be an impairment if the CAE takes on additional tasks? Right? Like in your example, you said the CAE is also the finance director in one of your clients. So the board needs to acknowledge that it's kind of impairment. Although if you can just let them avoid the situation, but anyhow. Engage with senior management and the CAE to establish safeguards if CAE's roles and responsibilities impair independence. Engage with senior management to ensure that the internal audit function is free from interference when you are determining its scope, performing engagements and communicating the results. Right, so see, the board is just doing an oversight role. So always remember the board has an oversight role, all right, in all the things. Then looking at what the senior management could do, senior management should assign the internal audit function to a level in the organization that enables it to perform its services without any sort of interference. Now that's you determining the position of the internal auditing department in the company. Recognize the CA's direct reporting relationship with the board. And all these things we have seen. We've discussed all these things. Right? So that's fine. You understand the rules. This also we have discussed functionally reports to the board. Now, what is this functional reporting and what is the administrative reporting to the CEO? Functional reporting means the department as a whole. You need to functionally report to the board that are you able to do your work without any sort of interference, right? Or not? Are you as internal auditing department is organizationally independent. So these are the functional reporting structures to the board. And administrative reporting to the CEO is basically, are you facing any challenges on a day-to-day basis? That's administrative reporting. If you're facing some hurdles on a day-to-day basis, understand that on a day-to-day basis, you might not be able to knock the doors of board every time, right? So you need somebody to talk to on a day-to-day basis, and that's the CEO for you. This relationship enables performing services and communicating results without interference or undue limitations. Fair. The CAE's administrative reporting relationship is often to a member of senior management. Basically, it is the CEO or equivalent. All right. Now, what are the cases of these impairments of independence? The impairment of independence may include the following: when the CAE lacks the direct communication with the board, when the management attempts to limit the scope of services previously approved by the board. That's scope limitation. Management attempts to restrict access to the records. Again, scope limitation. Management pressures the auditors to suppress or change findings. Intimidation. Reduction of internal audit budget leaves the function unable to meet its responsibilities. Internal auditing performs or CAE supervises an assurance engagement in a functional area in which the CAE has a significant influence. Internal audit performs or CAE supervises the services to an activity managed by senior executive to which the CAE reports administratively. That means, are you or is your role defined such that you are made to report to some person X who happens to be the senior executive in the company, and that person X is also happens to be the finance or purchasing head? Now, will you be independent if you're auditing the purchase department? You are reporting to a person X who is the purchase head in the company, and you are auditing the purchase department.
So we are facing this. I'm facing this issue right now.
Oh yeah, see,
So
you're facing that issue.
yeah, so our main stakeholder in Spock is the CFO, and obviously in every quarter he doesn't let the finance department points come into the ACB.
So what are you doing? How are you safeguarding on that?
Nothing. We have, well, obviously it's the client relationship that we have to maintain for future business as well. So you know how things work at Big Four.
यार अब मुंह मत खुलवाओ बिग फोर के बारे में. चलो, anyhow, but yeah. But yeah, so this is an impairment. That's a scope limitation. That's the impairment that you're facing currently, and you need to be having some safeguards to manage that impairment, right? Because if you are facing this situation that you are reporting to a person and who's not letting you move forward or is restricting you for a lot of things, you might wanna consider a disclaimer of opinion or something if it's significant, right? If it can be handled through other means, then that's fine. The CAE may have a non-audit role that may impair or appear to impair an internal auditor's independence. Impair or appear to impair, right? So both of these, you have to be very careful. You might not be doing something wrong. You might not be influencing, but if it happens that people feel that you are in a position to do that, if it appears to impair, then also you have to look at the safeguards. Examples: Development of risk management activities is needed immediately with a new regulation. The CAE is most qualified to adapt existing risk management activities to a new business segments. The organization resources are too limited or is too small to afford a separate compliance function. So CAE is called upon to do that. Right. So when discussing these non-audit roles and responsibilities with the board and the senior management, the CAE should identify appropriate safeguards. Right. When the board agrees that the impairment has occurred, the CAE should suggest potential safeguards to manage the risk. Also, a timeline should be specified for transferring temporary non-audit responsibilities to the management. Yes, Sakshi?
If you're not able to have sufficient safeguards against these risks, can we stop the audit? Like,
In the
for
most
example, if
extreme cases, yes.
okay,
Right, but
if we
generally you might, have some safeguards in place to ensure that that independence is no longer there. I mean,
but
sorry,
in
that
case of
impairment is no longer.
information, like the client does not provides or the client declines to provide us some documents which we think are
See,
very necessary.
if the client is declining your access to those documents, first ask the person to refer to the charter. It might be specified in the charter, right? That you have a full access to the documents,
Mm-hmm.
right? If still still not letting you work, escalate the issue to the senior management. If still persists, escalate it to the board. If still persists, you cannot provide your opinion. That's a disclaimer, depending upon the significance of the matter.
Right. Okay.
Right. But ultimately, see, these kinds of conflicts can be managed by the support of the senior management. That is why administrative reporting comes into the picture.
So I
Right. So
came
if
into
you
one situation where it's done, like the client does not provide a sufficient, so we stop the audit in the
you
middle.
stop the
And
audit, was it
yeah,
not mentioned? Was it not mentioned in the charter?
I am part of assurance, so like it was in the scope, but then the management did not provide us sufficient documents,
No,
and then
fair. What I'm asking is, we've seen how charter is that document, right? Charter is very important. Whatever you can do and whatever you have access to as internal audit team, that has to be
this is
specified in
what
the
I'm
charter.
saying. I have not worked as part of internal audit. I was part of
Ah,
I've only worked as part of external audit, so I've got that
okay.
experience, not internal audit.
Oh, fair, fair. So you're giving this example from external audit perspective.
Right.
Right, fair. So, yes, in external audit, you do not have this charter. So, in external audit, the way out is either, of course, you have to talk to the management if they are still having that scope restriction on you. Either you have to decide between the two things now. If you continue the audit, if you are providing your report, you cannot provide your opinion on that. You have to give a disclaimer of opinion, right, in
Correct.
your report. Or in the most extreme cases, you have to stop the work. That's more
Yeah.
stringent of a guidelines when it comes to external auditors.
But here I
And
think you are saying that we have to go back to the charter. That's why I was a bit confused because in external audit we part ways instead of providing a
yeah,
disclaimer. Yeah, usually.
yeah, here you refer the charter because
Okay,
it
okay,
will be
got it.
specified in the charter that you have full access, and if the management is not letting you work, you have to escalate it to the senior management, and if not, then escalate to the audit committee.
Got it, got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Moving on to your role in risk management. The CAE plans strategically to position the internal audit. Okay. I think you might want to take a break here, right? Do you need a break? I'm sure you might
Yes.
at this point. So before we start with this, let's take a break over here. All right. 15 minutes sufficient? Let's take a
Sure,
break
sir.
for 15 minutes and then we'll continue. Okay. Moving on to your role in the risk management process. It says the CAE plans strategically to position the internal audit function to fulfill its mandate and achieve the long-term success. And this type of a planning would involve understanding what the mandate is, of course, and the GRC of the company, governance, risk management, and control. Now, what is the risk management? It is a process to identify, assess, manage, and control the potential events or situations to provide a reasonable assurance regarding the achievement of objectives. Right? So risk management, if I ask you what is risk, you would say that risk is something or a possibility of something happening which might affect the organizations. Right? Is risk always negative? Is risk always negative?
No.
No. Why? How?
Because risk can be mitigated by putting control as well. If I have adequate control in place, still, the risk can be mitigated.
Fair. So it says that risk is basically a positive or a negative effect of happening or not happening of something. Right? So what is the risk management? It is a process to identify, assess, manage, and control the potential events so that you can provide a reasonable assurance on the objective or on the achievement of objectives. To understand the risk management, the CAE must consider how the organization identifies and assesses the significant risks. Of course, right? You have to understand the process of the company first so that you can work and analyze if that is fair or not. Now, how will you get, let's say you say that we need to have this understanding of the risk management process in the company. How would you get that understanding? How would you gather that information? You might want to discuss with the board and the senior management. You might want to review the minutes and the presentations, communications and work papers from the internal audit engagements, and reports by other providers of assurance. You might want to look at their reports as well. The CAE should understand widely accepted risk management principles, frameworks, and models, and professional guidance specific to the organization. Then the CAE should gather information to assess the maturity of the risk management process and identify whether the risk appetite has been defined. So when we'll reach the risk management, I'll tell you that there are two words, two terminologies associated. One is the risk capacity and the other is the risk appetite. Now, what is the difference between the two? What is the risk capacity? Yeah.
Risk appetite is how much risk it can, whether a company can accept it.
Okay.
Capacity is like which is within the maximum, which is a maximum within the limits of the regulatory framework, we could say.
So basically, risk capacity is the maximum amount of risk which you can take, right? And risk appetite is out of that threshold, how much are you willing to accept? That's risk appetite. So you consider whether the risk appetite has been defined and whether the risk management strategy has been implemented in the company. Fair. Now, looking at the 3 lines model that all of you were talking about after the video. So what is the first line? So first line involves the management and the staff directly responsible for managing risk and achieving the organization's objectives. The core areas of your business, that is the first line of defense or first line. They do the day-to-day operations. Then what is the second line? These are your support functions, such as the risk management, the compliance teams, right? So second line includes functions that provide oversight and support, such as risk management and compliance. And what is the third line? It's you, the internal auditors. The third line represents internal audit, which provides an independent assurance that the risk management processes are effective. Internal audit verifies that both the first and the second lines are executing their task as intended, right? That is the third line. What is the fourth line? Is there a fourth line? Is there a fourth line of defense?
No, actually, the external auditors also come into the third line of defense.
External auditors do come. Generally, we tend to bifurcate them, saying that, okay, there's the fourth line of defense, because ultimately they'll be tying everything up. Right, so wonderful. So we have broadly, we have only three lines: first line, second line, and third line of defense. Now, why do you think this model has become very important? The line of defense model has become very important.
To establish accountability.
To establish accountabilities. Give me an example.
Let's say the frontline are responsible for example the SOP implementation, effective implementation of SOP, whereas the second line, their responsibilities are triggered to understanding the performance of the controls and how they are complying with the regulations. And now where the third line comes in a picture, they would monitor this both line of defense, like whether they are doing appropriately or not based on the responsibilities they are assigned to.
Fair, very good. So it is important because it promotes clear roles and responsibilities, which helps to prevent confusion about the responsibilities, ensure that all aspects of risk management are covered, that leads to better decision making, and enhance accountability by clearly defining the oversight duties. The model also emphasizes. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, this this also strengthens the internal control within the organizations, right? The line of defense. Basically, this will the line of defense roles and responsibilities will also ensure that the internal controls are properly established, and and to address any gaps if there is in the internal controls.
Fair. So it is also one of the controls that the management has, wherein the front line has certain responsibilities. Then comes the role of the risk management and compliance, and then comes internal auditors. Yeah, so fair enough. Point taken. The model also emphasizes creating and protecting value through alignment, communication, coordination, and collaboration, which enhances the reliability and transparency of information necessary for risk-based decision making. Organizations also want to implement the three lines model because it helps foster a culture of transparency and ethical behavior in the company. It coordinates efforts across different departments, improve governance by ensuring the checks and balances are in place to uphold the standards and protect organizational values. Good. Now, the three lines of model is based on these 6 principles. The first principle governance. Means appropriate structures and processes should be there and should enable accountability by the board, managerial actions to achieve objectivities through risk-based decisions, and of course, assurance and advice by a competent person. Then governing body roles. What are the roles of governance body? Ensuring structures and processes exist for effective governance, ensuring objectives and activities align with stakeholders' interest, and giving management the responsibility and resources to achieve objectives and compliance with the laws, regulations, and ethics, establishing and overseeing the internal audit function. Then looking at the management, which is the first and the second line roles. You know what a first line is and you know what a second line is by now. Principle 4 is the third line roles. You know your responsibilities also. Principle 5, the independence of the third line. And principle 6 is alignment of all of these together to create value to the company. All right. So that was your first module of CIA part 1. It's interesting to see how they have made it more detailed. Earlier, it was a very, very simple, very small module. But now they are bringing up the 3 lines model. They're bringing up your role in the risk management also, mandate also together. So it's interesting to see how this has changed. All right. So with regards to the first module that you have done, is there something that you have a doubt, you want to talk, or you want to discuss anything here? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Get the ebook because I haven't received it.
Yeah, for ebook you have to talk to the team. So earlier, in all my early batches, I used to have this separate WhatsApp groups that I personally create for for the batch for easier communication. But I have been asked by the VGLD team not to continue with those groups anymore. So we are not forming any further groups of the cohorts, separate groups. But you need to talk to the team. That is the best way out.
Yesterday, I had a talk with the Wordman, so he informed me that ebook will be shared by end of this month, and the physical copy will be sent by end of next month. So how will I
Hey
study?
boy, so by end of this month, you'll get
Yeah,
the ebook.
yeah. So how will
Kaise
I
padho?
study? Why though?
Oh, strange. Let me discuss this with
No,
the
can
team.
you
Let me.
you can check it today because I received the ebook from Vardhaman yesterday night.
हाँ तो फिर अगर किसी को मिली है तो that means
It's a new
it's
for the new
available.
syllabus.
Even yes, I
Yeah.
need to add on here. Even I requested, and they said it will be in work in progress. So maybe it may take some time. But
No,
Ayush,
I don't know. I don't know how it can be work in progress because it's ebook. They just have to download and share it with you.
might be they might be reconning. Yeah,
No,
could be.
but we
Right.
already received it, right? So
Yeah, they are sharing for someone and they are not giving to us. What is it? I don't know. Ebooks can be sent very well.
But Ayush, yeah, I have one point. Apart from these materials and ebooks, but thanks for the first session. It is very interesting, Ayush, and it is giving.
Sarang, hold on. Just give me a sec. Let me check for the books first.
Yeah.
They're not picking up. चलो मेरी बात होती है तो let me see. Let me
Also,
see.
Ayush, can you ask
Yes.
them if we can create a separate group, whoever is doing this?
Yeah, we used to do, I personally used to do that for every batch that I conduct because it's easier that ways, but I've been told not to continue that. So I don't think there's any new batch, any new group that they want to create. Okay.
Yeah, Ayush, I was saying that it's a
Yeah.
good session. Yeah, it's very interesting and inspiring us to acquire this ICIA. But however, by saying that, Ayush, can we also touch upon how it will be, in the exam perspective? Like now we had seen all these sections, principles, and different areas which you covered very clearly with examples. We also,
I'm coming on to that. Don't worry, because the class is not over yet. It's just
that's
the
true.
reading part that it's just the reading part that you've done. I am taking on the questions.
Okay, okay.
Don't worry.
Thanks, Ayush, for that.
All right, switching to the questions, guys. Let's try our hands on some questions.
I just had one question.
Hmm.
So, and then we are saying that, internal auditors should also meet with the board without the senior management, but there will
Yeah.
also be cases where senior management will also be present in the board meeting. So, will we have a separate meeting? Will we meet with them twice in a year, or how should the ideal situation be?
Yeah, see, it depends. The form of I mean, the frequency of communication, it depends from company to company, from board to board. But the requirement is that at least annually you should have that meeting without the separate, without senior management being present. But there can be multiple meetings where the senior management is present with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Taking one doubt I have.
Yes. Yes.
Ayush, regarding the
Tell me.
second line of defense,
Yep.
I worked in all the lines of defense, and I believe second line of defense has some role as an advisory role and finding giving some gap analysis, doing some gap analysis. I see that
Mhm.
in this syllabus it is not touched upon. Let me know, am I correct or not?
Uh, So yeah, so see if there is if these are the support functions, right? If these are the support functions of compliance and the risk management, ultimately they would be giving some advice if the process is not fine or if you're not complying, right? If the SOPs are not complying with the regulations, let's say. So yeah, that could be one of the advisory thing that you can do. But your role will come as internal auditors only in the third line of defense. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I'm just checking the second line of defense. What would be the role exactly, and apart from auditing or testing?
The role would be not from the perspective of auditing and testing. The role would be from the perspective of having a risk management team and a compliance team. The role of compliance team would be to check and to comply with the regulations. The role of the risk management team would be to have that risk management framework and the risk management process in structure, where you're identifying the risk, you're analyzing the risk, and then you're having internal controls to finally respond to the risks. That would be the role of the second line of defense.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Ayush,
Yeah.
I have one more question, Ayush, following with the
Go
Shraddha's
on.
question.
Hmm.
We were performing an internal audit for a listed company, which is manufacturing industry, and in that the frequency was quarterly with the presenting to the board our internal audit report. So in that meeting now, the CFO of the meeting is also present in the board. Now the concern is that CFO also handles the finance department, right? So whatever the points and the observations and the risk is noted in our report. So before communicating to the board, first we need to present to the CFO. Then where he just cut like remove some points and add some points like that, and then we present to the board. So like you mentioned that in a like annually at least one meeting with the board should happen without the senior management. So my concern was like, is the present present of that CFO in the board, which is mandatory, and is present, then we can't put our those points which is related to finance in
No,
front
no,
of
no,
them.
no. No. You're confusing two things. Uh, when you're presenting your findings, right? Obviously, everybody will be there,
Yeah.
right? And that's fine because you might have already discussed the findings with the CFO before, all right?
Yes.
But that is one such meeting, right? There also needs to be another meeting which you have directly with the board without any sort of senior management being present over there,
Okay.
all right? So it is not that कि उस meeting में आप finance department की observations नहीं बता सकते. That is not the case.
He is
You are
actually
present.
removing those points, so we are unable to like present those points, which is of high importance. But he is taking care before presenting to them. Like he is handling that before presenting them.
So no. So if you are presenting that in the form of presentation, if you're presenting your audit findings to the board and the people are there, feel free to do that because you have been already given that approval by the CFO to present that, right? So that is not a problem. But yes, if you're not having that separate meeting, you should emphasize on having that separate meeting with the board where you discuss the more significant matters.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure that you're having that meeting with the board.
Sir, I have one conceptual question.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that the internal audit mandate and audit charter, are those words interchangeable as per our textbooks?
It is not interchangeable. Mandate is basically something that has been allocated to you, right? And whatever is regarding that mandate, the rules, the responsibilities, everything that has to be mentioned in the charter.
Okay.
Right? Mandate is something that has been allocated to you, what you will do. Now, that mandate, that these things will have to be also mentioned into a charter, which is the more official and more formal document which is approved by the board.
Okay. So
All right.
my next question is that we have just reviewed the textbook, and in that textbook we have seen that the CA is supposed to provide information to the management for establishing the mandate, right? And but I wasn't clear about the fact that who exactly prepares the charter.
Auditor prepares the charter and is approved by, so CA would prepare the charter and would be approved by the board.
Okay. Board with consultation with senior management or board himself?
If you, of course, will consider, but ultimately the approval will be given by the board.
Okay. Okay. And the mandate will also be given to the CAE by the board itself.
By the board, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All
Ayush,
right.
with respect to
Yeah.
sorry, Ayush. With respect to this audit charter, I had seen that it can be reviewed regular intervals, right?
I can you can review it regularly if you want.
Regular intervals. So is that looks very generic. Is that IAA standard says any quarterly, half yearly, or as and when required? Can we take it in that way?
Yeah. So see, there is no specific guideline which says yeah, you have to review it every 2 months or you have to review it every 3 months. No. It's up to you. It's your professional judgment. If you think that the situations have changed and it needs a review after 4 months, you do it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. But at least annually you have to review it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. So you have these access. You might have this access. So let's take some questions from the first topic. You have 107 questions. So these are the number of questions that you have, right, in each topic. All right. So let's take it up. And let's try to do 20 questions today. Let's see how that goes. Okay, guys, please use the chat box. Okay? Okay. Let me zoom it up a bit for you. All right. Which of the following describes the CAE's optimal reporting line to enhance independence of internal audit function? All of you are collectively saying C, except one who says B. Okay. So I will go with the majority, but just a suggestion, don't be too quick to answer the question without understanding the impact. Uh, Sometimes, we are very quick in reading and we just hurry with the answers. Don't rush. All right. So don't rush. So I'll go with the majority, which says it should be administrative reporting to the CFO. Administrative reporting should be to the CEO, guys. And the answer is B, which is functionally reporting to the audit committee. You have seen, report functionally to the board, right? And as audit committee is a subcommittee of the board. All right. So board is divided into a lot of committees: audit committee, nomination committee, risk committee, right? So all these committees are subcommittees of the board. So when you say reporting to the audit committee, you're saying reporting to the board only. So functional reporting to the audit committee and administrative reporting to the CEO. Okay. The board is most likely to participate in approving what? Okay. Okay. Collective answer C, and you are absolutely right. The board needs to approve the appointment of the CAE. Very good. Okay. A new regulation requires an organization to develop policies and risk management activities to ensure compliance. Because the organization has limited resources, the board authorizes the CAE to perform these activities. In this situation, which of the
So,
following is, sorry, are you saying something?
some was the answer. Yeah, I
Sorry,
was saying that due to some network connectivity, I couldn't. Can you see the previous question? What was it? Second question.
the appointment.
Second question. Yes. Due to some network connectivity, you couldn't see. Appointment of the chief
No
audit
problem.
executive. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll do it again. A new regulation requires an organization to develop policies and risk management activities to ensure compliance. Because the organization has limited resources, the board authorizes the CAE to perform these activities. In this situation, which of the following is least likely to be a safeguard against potential impairment of independence or objectivity? Least likely to be a safeguard. So you'll find these things a lot in the exam. Most likely, least likely. So which is the least likely to be a safeguard? Okay. Everybody's saying A. You are absolutely right. Right. Least likely a safeguard, increasing the budget for internal audit functions so that CAE can fulfill the responsibilities. That's not fair, right? So in just increasing the budget will not be providing the necessary safeguards that you have. Okay. Which line in the IIA's three lines model is directly responsible for risk management? Directly responsible for risk management. All right. All of you are saying A, the second line of defense. Guys, that is the reason I told you not to rush. Don't rush. It is the first line. Who is directly responsible for managing risks? These are your daily operations. That's the first line. And then you do have the second line, but that's a support function, not directly responsible for risk management. Right? So don't rush. And now, by reading the answer, you all knew this answer. All right? So don't worry. I'll wait for some time before you answer. The purpose, authority, and responsibility of the internal audit function are formally defined in. Here you can be fast. All right. Collective answer A, charter. What aspect of organizational risk management should the CAE understand when developing an internal audit plan? All right. Again, a collective answer A, and you're absolutely right. The risk appetite and the maturity of the department. Also, guys, just make sure you understand this thing. When you understand maturity of the department, all right. So, as an internal auditor, if you are focusing on a department which is relatively new, you will focus on compliance. Is that complying with the regulations or not? But if you're looking at a department which is mature, right, your focus would be to streamlining of the operations. Okay, we'll talk about this later as well. Okay. A charter is one of the more important factors positively affecting the internal audit function's independence. Which of the following is least likely to be a part of the charter? All right. All right. Collective answer B, the length of tenure of the CAE, which is absolutely right. Amitabh, D is very important. That access to personnel within the organization, charter specifies yeah. All right. Moving on. The three lines model enhances risk management within the organization by okay. Collectively, you're saying B. So you are saying three lines model enhances the risk management within the organization by clarifying and coordinating the roles across organizational levels. First line, second line, third line. Very good. Why not A? It's not centralized, right? You are distributing the roles. Okay. What does the three lines model emphasize in risk management? Oh, isn't that the same question? Fair. All of you are right. It's good. All right. In terms of internal auditor's role in the three lines model, which line is internal audit considered to be a part of? See if you have this question in the exam. Huh? You're absolutely right, guys. Third line. All right. Out of 10 questions, 8 are right. 80% score going on. Good. The IIA has indicated that to achieve necessary independence, the CAE should report functionally to all right. Correct. Functionally to the board. Good. According to the IIA, the role of internal audit in the organization's risk management process is to all right. Collective answer A, which is absolutely right. Provide assurance that risk management processes are effective. Why not C? Establish the risk management framework. Why not C?
Because it's the responsibility of risk management department within the function organization.
Because it's the management role, fair enough, and you cannot take on the management role. Why not B? Lead all risk management assessment activities. Again, a management responsibility. And what about D? Mitigate all organizational risks. So are you not there to mitigate the risks? As
It's still the
internal
management
auditors,
responsibility.
fair. As internal auditors, you are there to review, right? You cannot mitigate all the risks.
For mitigating risk management team. So another team is to bring it out.
Fair. Very good. The independence of the internal audit function is most likely enhanced by all right. Reporting functionally to the board, absolutely right. Why not A? Why not A?
That is not most likely, but likely.
Okay, why are we saying internal auditors cannot be independent of the organization? Okay, let me change the question. Is there a situation where internal auditors cannot be independent of the organization? What do we mean when we say independent of the organization?
Means having
Well,
no
yeah,
relationship with
means
the
having-
organization
It is
or
about
their
the
employees.
reporting structure. Yeah.
But can internal auditors be internal employees of the organization?
Yes.
Yes.
That means you are not independent of the organization, right?
We
But
can be independent based on the reporting to whom we are reporting.
based on the reporting. Fair. So that means as a function, you have to have that independence. So very good. Good. Certain changes in circumstances may warrant a change in the internal audit mandate. How frequently should the CAE consider making changes to the internal audit mandate? All right. So you are saying at least annually. Good. See, easy questions. The internal audit function must be free from interference in determining the scope of internal auditing. Consequently, the CAE most likely should All right. So collective answer D, have a private meeting with the board at least annually. You're absolutely right. Why not C? Why not C?
CAE
Because
no need to take approval from senior management for our charter.
Who
yeah,
approves the charter?
board.
The board. It's
Yeah.
approved by the board. Why not A? Have the ability to contact a designated senior manager to communicate sensitive matters. What is the problem with A?
Because they might be involved in those sensitive matters. No?
So if the matter is sensitive, you might want to take it up. You have a direct relationship, direct reporting to the board happening. Yeah. Okay. Which of the following is most likely to address the risk of potential impairments of independence or objectivity when the CAE undertakes major responsibilities in the compliance department? All right. The majority of you are saying A. Question समझ आया आपको? Which of the following is most likely to address the risk of potential impairments? Potential impairment है, but इनमें से कौन सी चीज वो risk address करेगी? Right, to address the risk of potential impairments of independence or objectivity when the CAE undertakes major responsibilities in a compliance department. The CAE seeks approval to report functionally to the board. The CAE reports administratively to the board to ensure reporting lines and responsibilities are evaluated by the board. The CAE oversees the assurance engagements performed on compliance function, or the compliance department provides training to familiarize the CAE with the compliance activities. So majority of you are saying you seek approval to report functionally to the board. Absolutely right, guys. Very good. Why not B? Of course, you cannot report administratively to the board. Administratively तो senior management को report करते हो ना, board को तो नहीं करते. Why not C? What is the problem with C? If CA is doing some work, it has to be overseen by some third party outside of the internal audit function, not the CAE. And what is the problem with D? Again, it doesn't address the risk of potential impairments. Right? You're just providing training. All right, so very good. You seek approval to report functionally to the board.
Yeah, so sir, I have a question here. Because as a CAE, I anyway report functionally to the board. So in this case, where I am also part of compliance department or assisting compliance department, how is this addressing the risk of potential impairment? So because this was anyway what I was doing, so I thought maybe in this specific scenario, it is better to even report administratively to board because they will in that case be also aware of what are the activities happening at a compliance department level and analyze my independence even in that case.
It's fine. See, understand administrative reporting will never be to the board. Administrative reporting is day-to-day activities, right? You will not be reporting administratively to the board. All right. And you are absolutely right. Any which ways also you will be reporting functionally to the board. So it's just that you have been given one such scenario, but the most obvious answer to seek, to address the risk of potential impairment is to report functionally to the board, because then you'll be reporting the safeguards also that you have taken, and everything that, what are the safeguards that board needs to apply, which definitely would be that, to have a separate person reviewing your work, right? So it's just the same question with one such scenario and some confusing words integrated.
Yeah, because even in the justification, it's like I don't know the fifth
Yeah,
line.
it's just the same that you have to have a functional reporting.
That you to address the potential impairments, it may include activities such as periodically evaluating reporting lines and responsibilities.
Yeah. All right. Also, if you're stuck with these kinds of dilemmas as to whether what will happen in this situation, follow the elimination approach. You can easily eliminate all the three remaining, right? So you're alive at that. Okay. Who is the CAE? ऐसे क्वेश्चन आएंगे तो सोचो कितना अच्छा होगा. Who is the CAE? All right, collective answer A. Fair. The effective organizational independence of the internal audit function is most likely evidenced by all right, collective answer A. Very good, guys. मेरे को लग रहा था इसमें आप stumble करोगे थोड़ा सा, but very good. Why not C?
Inappropriate.
Why not C?
Board approves.
Board approves.
Board approves the compensation.
Board approves the compensation. Very good. Why not D?
We have
Direct communication with the board we want, not the senior management.
And even if you're having a direct communication with the senior management, that doesn't solve the purpose of effective independence. Right? Fair. Very good. Which of the following most likely indicates whether the internal audit function is organizationally independent?
Sure. Most likely to be. Board meeting agenda and chief executive meets privately with CEO this time meeting.
All right, so you have a collective answer B. You are saying board meeting agendas and minutes. Absolutely. Why? How? How?
Because the meetings could clearly specify what all has done by the internal auditor, or it could
Yeah,
evidence
what
the
all
discussion.
communicate?
Yeah.
Correct. Could evidence the discussion. Very good. Fair enough. So why not C?
Again, they are meeting like annually with
The
CEO.
senior
Like
management.
they may
They
meet
need
more
to
often.
meet.
No.
A private meeting with the board
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
will help you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So board. Good. All right. The internal auditing function is most effective in achieving its purpose when which of the following conditions exist? So, all right. That was quick. All right. Absolutely right, guys. Very good. So 90% score. This is amazing. कैसा लग रहा है? Happy? आया मजा? So इस मॉड्यूल में से ऐसे ही क्वेश्चंस आएंगे.
Okay.
Right? So there are 100 questions, yes, but generally the questions would be like this. The only recommendation from my side would be not to rush, guys. It's fine. Take your time. You have 1 minute, more than a minute, 1 minute, 20 seconds around approximately to answer a question. It's fine. You might want to go slow. All right. So you will face this situation a lot in the coming chapters when we'll do the scenario based question. अच्छा ऑडिट में ना कुछ चीजों का प्लीज ध्यान रखिएगा. ऑडिट में it is very very important for you to stay within this scenario. ठीक है, ये बात मैं आपको आगे भी बोलूंगा, मैं अभी बता रहा हूँ क्योंकि आगे अब सिचुएशन क्वेश्चन जब स्टार्ट होंगे आपको ये चीज ध्यान में रखनी है. You have to remain within the scenario. What does that mean? Is that out of the scenario that has been provided to you and out of the 4 options, you have to select the most appropriate answer that resonates with the scenario. It's very easy in audit to just deviate from the scenario कि अच्छा मैं होता तो ये कर या ये बेटर होना चाहिए या मेरी कंपनी में तो ये होता, राइट? नहीं, उस सिचुएशन में उन 4 ऑप्शंस में से, राइट, व्हाट ऑप्शन is the best option, right? You have to consider that. You have to be very careful while reading the questions. All right. As of now, these are the 2 things, but of course, I'll keep giving you these hacks and keep giving you some recommendations, which we have observed throughout the batches that happen, that people face in the exam. All right. Also, one thing that we have already talked about is that senior management does not mean the senior management designation in your company. All right. Senior management means the CEO or the equivalent when we're talking about the internal audit now. All right. So these are the 3 things as of now. Wonderful scores, guys. 90%. For your exam, 80% is the passing score. All right. Yes, Sarang.
So what would be the percentage from this part in the CIA part 1 exam? The ratio?
You don't have a chapter-wise ratio, but you do have, wait, let me show it to you. Okay, so you can consider approximately 15% from this chapter out of the course.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Ayush, one more doubt. So the mode of the examination, will it be same like how we have done in the climb now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, okay.
All right. और पूछो.
Sorry, I'll just interrupt again. Is there any document you were referring to when you just gave us the weightage that the unit 1 we can expect to be?
चाहिए वेटेज आपको?
हाँ.
ये लो. फोटो खींच लेना. Hello. ठीक है जी। चलिए। All right, guys. Any other question for me as of now?
Aayush, I'm here. So the questions will be similar, like how we have seen right now. While we're giving a main exam, the questions will be similar like this because we said the most likely, least likely, we have to be more careful while giving. The
Yeah, the
straightforward
questions will be.
not an issue, but yeah. So that's what
Yeah, the questions would be like this. Majority of the questions will be most likely, least likely. That's the US format of asking the questions, right? Ki most likely situation kya hogi, least likely situation kya hogi. It would be similar in nature.
Ayush, if
All
you
right.
want to practice similar type of questions, I think Glem Access is the one.
आपको access मिला है Glam का?
अभी भी नहीं है. So other than Glem, any other you suggest?
You don't need that. So
Okay, great.
Gleim is sufficient. There are a lot of questions in Gleim. If you have taken the Gleim package from VGLD, the Gleim is sufficient. If you have not taken the Gleim package, I know they might be having these questions in the Auditor software also.
Okay.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
So in internal mandate section, as well as in impairment of independence section, both of these sections start with the principle 6 and the principle 7. So of what standard these principles are a part of? Where these
Global
principles
auditing,
have been
global
mentioned?
internal auditing standards.
Okay, global internal auditing standards.
Yeah, so instead of giving you an entire handbook of standards, you will have these references as we move along.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, can you provide the notes of this class?
मैं तो book ही पढ़ रहा था. What I'll do is I'll share my markings जो मैं book में लिख रहा था with the team and they'll upload it on your LMS.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
ठीक है? चलो then. I think we are good to end the session. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a beautiful day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.